Hey everyone, Ginny here, and welcome back to The Truth Behind, the channel where we dig deep into the secrets history doesn't want you to know. Today, we're taking a stroll through one of Europe's most charming and most mysterious cities, Amsterdam. You know it for the tulips, the bikes, the canals, but what if I told you that beneath those peaceful waters and postcard-perfect houses lies a secret history far darker and way stranger than you think? So, buckle up, my truth seekers. Let's dive into the real story behind the city of freedom, fog, and forgotten secrets. Let's start with a name you've heard, but probably never questioned, Amsterdam. Everyone thinks it comes from the dam on the river Amstel. Sure, that's the official story. But 13th century maps suggest the area was once called Eemstel, a name that some scholars believe predates the Dutch entirely. Who named it first? And why does that name eerily resemble ancient Sumerian phrases meaning hidden gateway? And speaking of gateways, let's talk about what's underneath Amsterdam. Beneath those picture-perfect cobbled streets lies a network of forgotten tunnels, sealed off after the Great Plague. Officially, they were old sewage systems. Unofficially, they line up exactly with medieval alchemical symbols mapped into the city's original layout. Coincidence? Not on this channel. Here's the kicker. The secret society Der Zwarte Spiegel, or the Black Mirror, is rumored to have been founded right here in Amsterdam in the 1600s. Members included philosophers, painters, and allegedly a few powerful merchants tied to the Dutch East India Company. These people weren't just trading spices, they were allegedly trading in arcane knowledge, smuggling relics from the Far East and conducting rituals in candlelit canal houses. And don't even get me started on the church with no entrance in the Jordan district. Locals call it De Stomme Kerk, the silent church, and no one can explain who maintains it, or why the lights flicker on at exactly 3:33 a.m. every Wednesday. Creeped out yet? We're just getting started. So, is Amsterdam just a liberal haven for weed and waffles? Or is it the European capital of hidden power, occult geometry, and ancient secrets buried in plain sight? Tell me in the comments, have you ever seen something strange in Amsterdam? A shadow where there shouldn't be one? A door that's no longer there the next day? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss what's really going on beneath the surface. Because remember, the truth is closer than you think. The so-called Black Mirror Society didn't just vanish with time. Traces of their influence linger in the strangest places. For instance, some of the oldest merchant houses in Amsterdam are built at impossible angles, not just to prevent water damage, as the guides will tell you, but allegedly to align with specific celestial constellations visible only during solstice nights. That's right, ancient stargazing encoded in urban architecture. And then there's the issue of the bells. If you've ever spent time in Amsterdam late at night, you might have heard the bell towers ringing at odd hours, not just on the hour, but in irregular patterns. These bells are connected to a centuries-old legend about de Wachters, or the Watchers, silent figures said to patrol the city when the fog is at its thickest. According to hidden pages found in the journals of 17th-century navigator Hendrik de Groot, these watchers were tasked with protecting Amsterdam's threshold, though he never clarifies what that threshold is. Some say it's metaphorical. Others believe there's a literal, ancient gate buried deep beneath the city, a portal to something not entirely of this world. During World War II, when Nazi forces occupied the Netherlands, there were repeated attempts to excavate beneath the Royal Palace on Dam Square. Officially, they were searching for weapons caches. Unofficially, declassified documents suggest they believed a catalyst object, possibly related to the lost relics of the Black Mirror, was buried below. The search was eventually abandoned, but the palace basement remains strictly off-limits to this day. Even the canals tell a story. Old police records from the 1970s contain dozens of reports from canal workers and late-night boaters of strange hums beneath the water, rhythmic and mechanical, like machines operating far below the riverbed. The city brushed it off as old pumps or pressure valves. But independent researchers who dropped sonar devices into the canals recorded heat signatures and movement patterns inconsistent with infrastructure and more in line with something alive. So here's the big question. Why does a city like Amsterdam, beautiful, open, historic, have so many layers of secrecy? Is it just old myths and urban legends? Or is there something this city has been hiding for centuries, passed down quietly between painters, merchants, and secret societies? Think about it. The Dutch Golden Age wasn't just about trade and tulips. It was about knowledge, forbidden, esoteric, possibly extraterrestrial knowledge. What if the reason Amsterdam became a global hub wasn't just geographical luck, but because it was always meant to be a beacon? Or a vault? The truth is, Amsterdam may be more than a city. It may be a construct, a mask built to hide something far older than the Netherlands itself. And if that doesn't make you look twice the next time you walk by a crooked gabled house or stare into a foggy canal, I don't know what will. Because if history teaches us anything, it's that the most important truths are buried, not erased. Let's turn now to one of the most overlooked aspects of Amsterdam's strange past, the disappearance of entire streets. Yes, entire streets. Archival maps from the 1500s to the 1800s show dozens of alleyways, market lanes, even full canals that no longer exist, and I'm not talking about the usual urban redevelopment. These places were erased without explanation, without any trace in city records. Modern historians often chalk it up to flood management or early urban planning errors, but there's one problem: the street names. Many of them contained references to arcane symbols like Hellegang, Hell's Walk, Slapersteeg, Sleep Alley, and Het Dode Licht, the Dead Light, names you won't find in the city's tourist brochures, but which come up again and again in 17th century demonology texts from nearby Utrecht and Leiden. There's also the story of the Vondelpark statues, particularly the one with no face. Tucked away near the southern edge of the park is a stone figure worn down almost to smoothness. It has no plaque, no name, and no official record in city archives. But according to urban folklore, every generation, one child claims to have seen it move. Not just shift positions, but turn its head. A journalist in the 1950s tried to photograph it overnight, setting up a crude motion sensor. The negatives were lost in a mysterious fire. No cause ever determined. Now, let's talk about the house with the singing walls. Hidden in plain sight on the Herringratcht is an otherwise nondescript canal house with a narrow wooden door and crooked windows. Its real name has been forgotten, but locals call it Het Zingend Huis. Neighbors have reported hearing soft singing, always in a language no one recognizes, coming from its walls during nights when the moon is at its lowest point in the sky. The house is never listed for rent or sale. And here's the kicker. It's been continuously occupied for over 300 years, but no one has ever seen a tenant enter or leave. Some researchers believe the building was a meeting place for an elite spiritual cabal who believed that sound was the key to unlocking dimensional passageways, harmonic portals. A theory bolstered by the strange, glyph-like musical notations found carved into the beams of a nearby 17th century tavern attic during a renovation in 1993. So what are we looking at here? Coincidence? A city with a flair for the dramatic? Or is Amsterdam a living archive, one built not just to preserve knowledge, but to contain something? A place where energy, history, memory, and myth all blur at the edges? As always, I leave that for you to decide. But next time you're walking through the 9 streets, or standing at the edge of a misty canal at dawn, take a second to look around. Watch the shadows. Listen carefully. Because in Amsterdam, the past isn't just behind you, it's watching you. And maybe, just maybe, that's why the city feels different when you're alone at night. Not dangerous, not evil, but aware. You see, cities like Amsterdam don't survive this long, through floods, war, revolutions, and the weight of history, without having help. The question is, whose help? There are still locals, old families, who won't speak about certain places, who pass down whispered stories generation to generation. Not in books. Not online. Only in person. They'll say it's just folklore. They'll laugh it off. But they still keep their curtains drawn on foggy mornings. They still refuse to walk through certain alleyways after dark. And they still leave coins on the 4th step of their stairwells, an old superstition meant to pay the guest who might visit while they sleep. Even today, as tourists snap selfies by the canals and cruise ships dock by the thousands, Amsterdam plays its part. It distracts. It dazzles. But beneath it all, it waits. What for? No one knows. But if I had to guess, for someone who finally asks the right questions. So, what do you think is the real story behind Amsterdam? Have you experienced something there that didn't quite fit the brochure? A fleeting whisper, a shadow where none should be, a door that wasn't there yesterday? Drop your story in the comments below, I read every single one. And if this episode made you look at Amsterdam a little differently, be sure to like, share, and of course, subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden, the buried, and the forbidden. Next week, we're heading to the Arctic Circle, where a forgotten Nazi expedition may have uncovered something not entirely human. Until then, stay sharp, stay skeptical. And as always, I'm Ginny, and this was The Truth Behind. The truth is out there. It's just not where they told you to look.